and make him make mistakes. Anytime Lamar Jackson plays bad, it's because you allow him, put him in a pressure situation where he makes mistakes because he doesn't have the best form throwing the football on the run. So one of the things that I mean, listen, I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. Listen, I'm gonna be there September 11th. We're gonna be juiced. Opening day. The Jets are getting the win against the Ravens. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts. This is like such. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. The Ravens have definitely spent a lot of money on that secondary, bringing in Marcus Peters, and Marcus Williams, at safety, the big free agent addition from the Saints, one of the top safeties on the market, and then drafted Hamilton, to put beside him. I mean, they spent a lot of money on that secondary, probably because Cincinnati in 2 games threw for 1,000 yards on him. I'm not even it was 525 and 450. So do the math, 1,000 yards in 2 games. So they have a good secondary, but Humphrey, their number 1 corner, I mean, Chase went for 200 yards on him, right? So literally 201 yards in 1 game. So it's one of those things where can our offensive line protect? And can we keep the defense off the field is going to be, because chasing Lamar, even if you contain him, is still a lot of work. Even if you keep him and do everything right, it's a lot of work and a lot of energy. So I like it in some ways. Can we get a run game? Can we establish some things, keep the offense on the field? And this is going to be like one of those meat grinder games, right? Like it's going to come down to the 4th quarter, 23-20, like kind of game. One of the things, as I've followed the comments and everything you guys are saying, a ton of great points. The Jets have added a ton of talent, but where are they weak? Where's the big question marks? We don't have a run stuffer. Baltimore's biggest strength is running the football. Our linebackers, do we have a linebacker that can cover? Do we have a free safety? I don't even know who's going to start at free safety. The Ravens' strength is running the ball and throwing the tight ends. And I don't know if we have a linebacker who can cover or a safety that can cover. And Whitehead is a strong safety. So he's going to help on Lamar, but he's not playing center field. Is Ashton Davis playing center field? Is Joyner playing center field? Is Pinnock playing center field? Who's playing center field? I have no idea. I like today, I have no idea. So I don't know. This is a game that, I'm a little nervous about. I'll be honest. But I could see the Jets pulling this out 23-20, and getting the season off to a good start.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, man, it's really just going to come down to stopping the run. I mean, I can't.
No, it is.
I mean, I really can't stress how much this is. I mean, the Jets are going to get picked on a little bit, and they're going to have to show teams right away that this is not the same New York Jets team you've been running into. It's really, really important that the Jets, because you look at this start, right? You got Lamar Jackson and company. Then you go ahead and you've got Chubb and you've got those boys. You've got Mixon. Then you run into the rookie. Well, not a rookie anymore, but for Pittsburgh, what's his name?
Najee Harris, right?
And then listen, we could say what we want about the Dolphins, but I think they know a little something about Tua that we don't know about, because you look at their roster. They've got Salvin Ahmed, who's decent running back. He had his moments last year. They've got Myles Gaskin, who's had more of his share of moments. They've got Sony Michel. They've got a veteran, Raheem Mostert. He's had his moments. And then they get a little guy, Kevin, there that me and you wanted him so bad, and Chase Edmonds, and he's very versatile. So they could play that nickel and dime screen, bubble screen out, these little ins, run the ball, just play action. It's not going to be easy, and then you run into the Packers and then the Broncos. And then, so there's not a lot of reprieve. And then, you got maybe 1 or 2 games there where you don't face a running team that could really kind of ruin your day before you get to the bye week at week 10. So, the Jets, it's very important that the Jets stop the run early. and they show teams, hey, you might want to go somewhere else today because you're not going to run on us too much. You might want to try some play action or something, screens on the outside. And really, the play actions developed off of the run. So if you could do that, you kind of start affecting the passing game as well because you become one dimensional, especially if you can catch a leak. So September 18th at the Browns, 1 p.m. CBS game, my favorite station to watch games, of course. And I like my chances here if I'm the Jets as well. Reason being is Deshaun Watson is a really awesome quarterback, but it's not like he hasn't lost games before. The Browns, I really don't trust their process in anything that they're doing. And so, I don't really know how they're going to come out the gate. A lot of turmoil, a lot of questioning is going to be had of Deshaun Watson. Just the team is going to have to deal and respond to that. And it's so early in the season. He still doesn't know the players. You don't know if he's going to be suspended or not, as me and Kevin were talking about. So, I think the Jets can come in here and maybe sneak a win from a team that maybe later in the season is going to be a very good AFC opponent. You might be able to go in there, kind of catch them off guard, catch them off early where they haven't got, the chains and got the wheels rolling yet. And then they roll into September 25th game on the road against the Bengals, which, I'm going to go ahead and give the Bengals the win here until I can actually see the Jets play and see what type of team they're going to be next year. Obviously, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, very close to winning. Most of their starters are returning, same system, more growth, that type of deal. So, Kevin, I got the Jets right now. Me personally, I got them at 2-1 going into the Steelers October 2nd. Where do you have them sitting going into that Steelers game?
No, exactly the same. So you don't know if Deshaun Watson is playing. You don't know if Mayfield's playing. You don't know if Jacoby Brissett's playing. And that's not us. That's the Cleveland franchise, right? Like you're going into practices trying to build rapport for which quarterback, right? Because if a quarterback gets hurt in the preseason or training camp or somebody gets dinged up, Mayfield's gone, right? Like then what are we, Jacoby Brissett? So that goes back to what we said, man. We need a big time year from contract year man Quincy Williams. Quincy Williams has got to take out the Nick Chubbs, make plays on Lamar Jackson. He's got to help us with this run game. It can't be Mosley by himself and Quinnen Williams by himself. And you go into a Cleveland game where the receivers are gone, right? They rebuilt the receiving core, brand new quarterback, question marks across the roster. Whether Deshaun Watson's been out of football, right? Like literally sitting on the sideline. It's been 2 years since he's thrown a football in a live game, right? Like say whatever you want about it. Like, so, you don't know what version of Deshaun you're getting if he has to shake off some rust or if he's even going to be there. The Jets got to capitalize on that tough schedule that you already highlighted. Get the win at home. Get the win at Cleveland, because that Bengals game is a revenge game, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the game that they kind of slept on the Jets a little bit last year, and Mike White said, "I'm gonna get in the Hall of Fame on you real quick." So and he did. He fell asleep at the wheel, and he got himself in the Hall of Fame in one game. So but that Cincinnati game is just like last year. It was a learning experience for them.
Absolutely.
Like, don't sleep on a team or this can happen to you is exactly what they took out of that. Man, Sauce Gardner against Jamar Chase. Oh, come on.
Physical matchup.
Say, I hate that. Like, I'm scared of that. Whatever you are, Jets fans, but you get to watch Sauce against Chase. Oh, man. Like, get your popcorn ready. Right? Like, and you got Reed on the other side. Like, this is a team, those first two teams we play aren't going to really test our outside. They're going to, like, squeeze everything in the middle. Right. But that Joe Burrow game, he's coming after those corners and saying, are you for real? Like, that's going to be a fun. I asked 2-1, but that game's going to be fun to watch, man. Chase against Sauce. Oh,
it's going to be fun to watch. And because we won't get to the cornerback, because we're really getting into the schedule here. The fact that the Jets took Sauce And the fact that Bryce Hall is now third on your depth chart at the cornerback position when he was number one last year, and you were happy with a lot of his playmaking ability against some really good receivers. I mean, we're forgetting that the Jets signed DJ Reed. We forgot
Yeah.
about that. Like, and no one is talking about that, but people forget about that. The Jets have a legitimate 1-2 punch at corner on paper. Obviously, we're having fun with it. We're going based on prior performances, current performances. We can't read the future. The Jets have themselves a little type of secondary now. Okay. And then you got guys like Echols who could slide in. And then you got guys like Pinnock coming off the bench,
Carter the
or maybe
third,
not, or maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. It could
right?
be open. It could be Whitehead Pinnock back there. You don't know. I mean, I would assume it would be Davis and Whitehead back there. It's time for him to show his worth. You saw a little bit of sparks here and there. The guy just can't stay healthy. But looking at it, yeah, that's an exciting matchup. Like, I'm super excited for that. But the Jets are still going to take that L, though, to be honest with you. And that Steelers game, I have the Jets winning that, and I
Yeah.
know I know they're going into on the road and all that type of deal. But listen, Mitch Trubisky can't beat you this year, okay? If you got any type of expectations, I don't care who's running the football. You can't let Mitch Trubisky, coming off the Buffalo bench, hasn't even done anything, come out here and beat you. That can't happen. So I got the Jets at 3-1. Ultimately, until they go ahead and they play the Dolphins at home. And I'm going to give the Jets the win. Call me a homer. This is the way, way too early schedule win-loss pick from Jets Guru. I don't have to get too serious yet. And I honestly think the Jets have a shot at this. I think by week 5, that's always a really big opportunity for you to get an overall picture of what your team is. Because by week 5, you're knocking off the rust. You're starting to get into a groove. You've traveled on the road. You've played at home. So I think the Jets have an opportunity here to be 4-1 and just be one of those teams, that just gets a hot start to their season, ultimately going to Green Bay and getting their butts whooped at Green Bay. And now here, this is the first real test for the Jets. And I understand that they're playing the Bengals at home. I understand this, okay? And the Bengals were just in the Super Bowl. But this is like a big test for the Jets because you got brother versus brother, the LaFleur brothers kind of going at it, right? I think LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers and company, they know that they're going to see a lot of similar things from what they're trying to do with Zach Wilson is you're going to try to see them do with Aaron Rodgers. I think the time that they spent together last year in camp, is going to pay dividends for them. They're really going to come out smoking. If the Jets are as good as that 4-1 record indicates once they finish with Miami, if they come out and they beat Green Bay and go to 5-1, then things are really going to start changing for them. But Kevin, me personally, I got them at 4-1 going into Green Bay, losing and being at 4-2, ultimately going into Denver.
Yeah, I honestly have the same thing. Exact same thing. I think that Miami game is going to be super duper interesting. It's a maturity game. A lot of you guys are already saying it in the comments. We need to start winning in this division, right? We need to start beating the New Englands, the Miamis, the Buffaloes. We're not going to sweep a lot of those teams, but we need to start. Look, one thing I'm going to tell you guys, I've been so impressed, just like Daniel said, about how Joe Douglas has architected this team. And as you get into the kind of sweet spot, you're not quite at the middle of the schedule, but you see what teams do well and do not do well. Man, the Jets can run the ball. If you can't stop the run, just haul and Carter all day until you stop it. And if you're struggling with play action, we got 3 tight ends that can play. Not 1, not 2. We got 3. Dude, we got 4 starting caliber receivers, right? With Wilson, Moore, Davis, and Berrios. All those guys can play. So whatever you're not doing well, the Jets are going to go into Miami in October, and it's still a little warm in October. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's warmer there than up north where we are. But the Jets are going to have 4 games to look at this new coaching staff and what they're trying to do and how the players are fitting in Miami and attack it. So I think the Jets really, that's a good matchup, and it's a good measuring stick. And then that Green Bay game, I mean, they're just further along, right? That's a team, again, every year is in the playoffs. Every year is one of the 13-3s, 13-4s kind of thing. They just know how to win regular season games. So I got the same thing, exact same thing as you. Probably 4-2 heading into a very tough Broncos game in Mile High.
Absolutely. And one other point I wanted to make about that Bengals game, it was really important for Zach to see, the quarterback play that was needed by Mike White, getting the ball quickly out of your hands, taking what the defense gives you, letting your skill position players do the work and get the yards after the catch to get you where you need to be, using your legs a little bit more. So that game was really, really important for Zach's development for him, and it was for Sam Darnold when he got hurt, back in the day and he came back. Sometimes these guys, there's a lot going on with these young quarterbacks. They literally go within 1 year from playing at college. All of a sudden they're playing for a professional organization, making millions of dollars, new playbook, new receivers, new everything. It's not easy, it's not an easy transition for these guys. And sometimes, you've had so much success doing things your way that sometimes, you need a little pause, a little reflective period to sit back and say, okay, maybe I do need to do that. And you saw that Zach was very open to coaching, which is something that was kind of a discussion about him during the draft time, that he kind of has a bloated head about himself or whatever. But that's not something that he really projected out on the team last year, because it seemed like he was a student of the game, and it seemed like he was able to take direction not only from Mike White, but also from Joe Flacco, and try to change his game up a little bit to be more productive for the team. And, the opposite you saw, me and Kevin discussed this a lot last year, with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson in the second half of the year, when Zach was, being a little bit more cautious with the ball with a really banged up roster, and, increasing his stats, running the football and just kind of moving things around, making better throws. Trevor Lawrence was forcing the ball down the field, throwing interception after interception, and went on quite a bit of a streak there without a touchdown. But obviously, Zach plays in a major market. You're going to hear more noise about that. But, I mean, you pull up Zach's statistics from last year and you look at, most of his games, it weren't that bad. I mean, yeah, obviously you want more yards, this, that, et cetera. But it's really that Patriots game in the beginning of the year that really kind of set his statistics up kind of bad. But other than that, Zach had a solid year for a 2-win team where everybody was new and trying to figure things out. But going back to the schedule, you look at it and they go into the Broncos game. A 4:05 game. I think the Broncos have an opportunity to be a really good football team next year. Obviously, they're always a team that could run the football. They got a couple weapons out there, especially at the running back position, where you should see more of Williams, which they should have did last year. They kind of let Gordon get a little bit too many touches, in my personal opinion, but less wear and tear, I guess, on your rookie back. That's all right. I think the Jets lose this game and they go on a back-to-back losing streak here. They go 4-3 at this point until they come home and they play the New England Patriots, where I think Bill Belichick and I think the world gets to see that the New England Patriots are going to start to take a step back in this world. I think the Jets are going to win the game, get to 5-3 before they ultimately play Buffalo at home. I think Buffalo at this time, 9 games in, I would have liked to play Buffalo around the second, third game of the year, kind of try to surprise them out the gate. By this time, if they're healthy, they should be rolling. And I think they lose there with the Jets going to 5-4 headed into the bye. Where are you at, Kevin?
No, exactly the same. Mile High is always a tough place to play. And I see in the comments, guys are like, oh, this game is winnable. Could we beat Green Bay? Yes. Could we beat the Broncos? Yes. Is it possible we win those games? It's just as possible we could win those games as we could stub our toe and lose to Baltimore week 1, right?
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, Look, the Jets are talented enough to beat every team on the schedule, guys. We're just going through this and say, hey, there's gonna be a game where a ball gets tipped and picked off, and stuff happens, guys. Or
The Jets are winning 13 games next year. Come
right?
on,
Like
Kevin.
they're gonna come off some buses on the road flat, right? Like we've seen this from the Jets. They come out and squash a really good team and come home and the last time we won in September, guys, Sam Darnold beat Detroit Lions his rookie year. That's the last time we won, in the month of September. Sam Darnold's first game that far ago. Yes, that long ago. So just as easy as the Jets can win some of these games, they can lose them. And that Green Bay game, are they mature enough to beat Aaron Rodgers, or will a more mature team find a way to win a game and a less mature team find a way to lose? And I see that happening against the Packers. I see that happening against the Broncos on the road in thin air, which happens to every team, even mature teams that go up there.
Right.
And then you come home to a New England team and, you kind of right the ship a little bit. I do agree with you. The Jets got to come home, AFC East rival, and say, look, your secondary doesn't scare me, right? Whether I'm going to you want to take away over the top, I'm going to drop it off to my running backs and tight ends all day. You want to play a little bit underneath, we're going to take Wilson, Moore, and Davis and take you over the top. Because that secondary is scaring no one. Those linebackers are scaring no one. They do have a pass rush, but we got 2 tackles, right? So the Jets got to impose their will and just say, I'm more talented than you, and line up and beat the Patriots. Right before the bye, you face the Bills. I'm not going to pick us to beat the Bills, guys. I got us 5-4 going into the bye. And coming off how many games we've won the last 2 years, 5-4 heading into the bye, is a healthy start to the season.
Absolutely. And, they roll right out to the bye on the road against the Patriots. Could they beat the Patriots back to back? Sure. But you're going to have to show me that before I put that down on paper. And that's one thing you have to keep in mind when we look at this game. Just like Kevin said, do the Jets have the potential to win all these games? Of course. It's the NFL. We've seen this. It could happen. These guys are professionals. This team was well constructed the last 2 years, including this offseason. Could the Jets take that super leap that by the time that they get to week 11 or 12, they're one of the better teams in the league? Maybe they're one of those teams. But again, if you're a betting man, you play your averages, okay? And, it's a new roster, a new organization, new all that. Yes, I know it's not the same as Geno Smith running out there or something like that, okay? But this is still a tough conference. These are tough games, guys. The Jets have the second hardest schedule in the league. We have to add clarity to the conversation when we're looking at this stuff. We could be homers all we want. Be homers in the lot, be homers in the stadium, be homers at the games, all that kind of stuff. But if you're really evaluating wins, losses before the season starts, we don't know what the hell the Jets are going to be. I mean, hey, I've seen the whole horse and pony show before. Oh, here we go. And then you set yourself up for nothing. So let's see them play first before we start giving them 13-win seasons, all right? I think we're being fair. I think if you're doubling up on your win total, from the previous year, you're doing something right. You might as well keep it going. So I think the Jets go ahead and they lose out of the bye to the Patriots. They split with them. At this point, Jet fans are getting a little bit nervous. The team started off, 4-1, and then all of a sudden they've been just kind of sliding from there. This is a sign of a young team. But there is some hope coming up here. I truly believe it, because then they come home and they play the Bears, an inexperienced Bears team with a quarterback that I still think is probably a year behind from being a team that could be like a 7-win team. That's just my personal opinion. So I think the Jets can make good work here out of the Bears, get to 6-5. Ultimately, go to Minnesota indoors. I have the Jets beating the Minnesota Vikings. There's nothing tough about the Vikings. Could they come out and win? Absolutely. Justin Jefferson is an exciting receiver. He's a home run hitter and that sort of thing. But you've seen over the last few years, they just haven't been able to win the tough games, and they can get physically pushed around as an offense. And if you start giving the quarterback position some problems, Justin Jefferson's not going to find too many receptions go his way. And if Justin's not getting his receptions, they're not winning. And by week 13, is Dalvin Cook going to be healthy? Who knows, right? So I think the Jets can win here and get to 7-5. And then all of a sudden you're starting to say to yourself, I'm looking at the schedule here, and the Jets are 7-5 right now. And they've got some duds coming up. We've got the Lions. We've got the Jaguars. You've got Seattle. You've got a potential with Tua to be absolutely trashed. And this is where the Jet fans who they just start getting worked up right here. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, so we lose to the Bills. We get to 7-6. But then we're winning out, guys, right? We're winning out and we're going to the playoffs. Is it possible? Maybe. I think we lose to Buffalo. We get to 7-6. And this is going to be one of those things that Kevin talked about. Are you going to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, or you're going to kind of fumble a win or fumble the bag somewhere around here? You got a Lions team who you should beat, who's still not ready to compete at all. You got a Jaguars team who made a lot of improvements in the offseason, and it was, like you, a 2-win team at one point in time. Are they making the proper changes? We're going to find out. Big matchup week 16. I think that the Jets personally at home, I think Kevin, you've got to win both of those games against those opponents at home. 8-6, you get to 9-6. What is your take on that going into that Seattle game at 9-6?
Yeah, no, I think I'm right aligned. So even with 2 weeks to prepare, Bill Belichick's going to come out that second Patriots game and show you something that you totally haven't seen, and he's going to take away how you attacked him last time. And are you going to change enough with a whole new offensive defensive philosophy? I could see us losing and pulling in 5-5, and all the Jets fans saying fire everybody after the bye week, right? In classic Jets fan fashion. But then, just like you said, home against the Bears right after Thanksgiving. Great game. You got to take care of business. Because remember, you're still going to be fairly rested coming off the bye. You should be one of the healthier stretches of the season. And that's a good time to get the Bears, Vikings, clean those two up, get to 7-5. Just like you said, get knocked back by the Bills again because you're in Buffalo. You're probably not getting that. And then finish strong. At home against Detroit. Detroit's going to be tougher, man. They had 2 top 10 picks too. They got some good players. But Hutchinson and Wayne, still got no quarterback. So you got to take care of business. Got to take care of Jacksonville on Thursday Night Football in a short week. You got to pick that up because you're staying – they're the team traveling on the short week, not you. You got to take care of business. Then closing the season with 2 huge road games. And this is where I keep bringing up maturity. You got a New Year's Day game in Seattle with a chance to get double-digit wins against Geno Smith or Locker. I don't care. Who's playing quarterback, Geno Smith or Locker.
Baker Mayfield.
Tough. Yeah, it could be. But that's a tough stadium to play in. They're going to be loud. It's a dome, right? Like, you got to find a way. And 10 wins might not even be enough, right? It might not even be enough. But that 10-win game will make the Miami game a play-in game. And that's what you want. You want to go into that last week of the season, win, and you're in. And I think that's where the Jets are going to be. That Miami game, in classic Jets fashion, is going to be both teams, just like I said, all the chips on the table. Whoever wins is in. And that's what I think happens for the Jets season.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, that would be a wonderful Jets season if they win 9-10 games. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But again, this is the Jets beating every bad team or bad team that we call it. That's us really picking them to beat every bad team. And there's a good possibility that some of these teams look at us like that. So there could be a win or a loss here and there that drops you to 7 wins or maybe brings you to 11 wins. Who knows? The one benefit of this schedule that I'm seeing as well is that besides the Bills at home, I mean, after September 25th, which is the third game in, all your home games are easy opponents on your schedule. I mean, the Dolphins, you don't know who they're going to be with their quarterback. The Pats, I mean, if you could stop the run, you could win those games. The Bears, the Lions, the Jaguars. So all our tough games, which kind of suck too, are on the road. Green Bay, Broncos, Bills, Pats, all those types of games on the road are our toughest opponents. So it's a tough schedule, and there's weird quirks to it. Obviously, health is going to be the hugest thing for this football team moving forward, and every football team. But for the Jets guru early schedule win-loss, I think we did a fair job of breaking this down and really giving it a fair shake at what potentially could be a win-loss for the Jets. Now, by the time we do this again, which will be the end of training camp, right as the season is about to start, we'll know who's healthy, who's not in the league, who's starting out the deck clean, all this type of stuff. So we'll have a better idea, and we could go back and check, So right now we have them at 9-10 wins, 10. And me personally, I have them losing one of those last two games. I don't think they win the last two. If the Jets win the last two and they get to 11 games, you better look out for the New York Jets, because that means that Zach Wilson has taken that next step where you're like, okay, this is the franchise guy. And most likely, if they get to 9 or 10 wins, that means that they're probably either stopping the run or they're running the ball to control the clock. It's going to be really, really important. Again, we talked about it. A lot of good running teams with capable running backs on this roster that can eat clock from you, extend drives, and that could really kind of, mess up your offense and being able to get out there. So very, very paramount for this team to be able to do that and stop the run. And honestly, I think the one position group that I think really has a good shot at shining is that secondary, because honestly, in Saleh's defense, the focus is on the defensive line, being able to put pressure in that wide 9 defense. That's why you see them do so well the last few years. Well, so that's why I was really surprised how hard the Jets went in secondary in free agency and the draft, because you look at the history of the 49ers with the staff that they've currently had, it hasn't been a premier position because they put that on the pass rushers. You get to the quarterback faster. You don't have to have corners cover as long. You also, wind up stopping the play before the receiver truly gets out of his breaks or gets to a position where his quarterback can go through his checks and then finally get to him. So obviously the pass rush, stopping the run is really important. All it's going to do is help your backers out, help your secondary. And so I'm excited about this season.
Two names, just to throw two names out there between now and could really change my opinion right at the end of training camp. If the Jets get the defensive tackle Ogunjobi from Cincinnati, the 27-year-old that's still on the market, who was signed by the Bears, failed his physical because of a playoff foot injury he suffered. But I mean, he got $26 million in guarantees in that contract. That's a 7-sack defensive tackle, 305 pounds, 27 years old. You add him to the roster, and Quan Alexander out of San Francisco, who knows our system, can play some linebacker and can be a nice rotation with Quincy and Mosley. You add those two names to this roster, and I might have a little different thought process at the end of training camp, because just like you said, that defensive line where you have 4 legit pass rushers that you're rotating, the Lawson, the Johnson, the Clemens, the Martin, who we picked up from the Texans. And then you go in the defensive tackles where you're rotating Quinnen, you're rotating Ogunjobi, you're rotating Rankins. Then you got Solomon Thomas. You got Nathan Shepard. You're just throwing waves at an offensive line of fresh bodies. And if you tell me you bring in one more linebacker that's a starting caliber linebacker, one more Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle, where all of a sudden the defense can win you games by controlling the line of scrimmage and getting after the quarterback, that 9 or 10 becomes 10 or 11 because we're controlling the line of scrimmage, and the offense doesn't have to score 34. They can win games they score 20 or 23 because the defense is elite. We get 1 or 2 more pieces up the middle, and this could be a really special team.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I agree. When you look at how everything's stacked together and how they twist and Joe's been just kind of in and out of the draft and trades, and he's just done an exceptional job at putting this roster together. I mean, even if it doesn't work out, I mean, everything that he's done as far as what is current, what he should do, he's done. I mean,
Yep.
The offensive line, the secondary, the receivers, the weapons, the quarterback, the running back, the tight ends, all things you've been crying about for years. Finally, a guy comes in, uses his mind, gets rid of assets he knows he's not going to re-sign, and drafts well. And he spoke about this coming in, how important the draft was. And we laughed at him because of his first draft, but he was picking players for a coach and didn't know what the hell he was doing. And he's actually a team player, so he's working with his staff, not just picking players like Mike McCagnon and company were trying to do based on their evaluation. He comes from an organization where everyone is locked in, working together to find players. And now that he actually has an offensive system and a coaching staff that's put together by football people, put together by himself, found his own coach, he found his own staff, and then let them put the pieces in place. Now he's working from a football perspective. He's not working from a let's clean up a mess. He's working from now let me start attacking and start getting things that I need. Because that's what you do when you usually come in. You're cleaning up messes, and then you're able to attack and go where you need to go. So that the first little bit that he was here, he was just getting rid of messes, letting contracts play themselves out, bringing in guys that he knows are going to be successful, drafting high caliber, high quality captain type players onto his roster, not overpaying for players because you're desperate, going out there and bringing in guys who fit your system, not just because they have a name or they've had success before. So I think it's really important to give this guy some credit and how he's put this together. Now, it is up to the players, because remember, the coaching staff and the players to put together a good tape. Joe has done his job. Now it's time for the players to do theirs. And the Jets have a very good opportunity at doing so because they've put together a team, like Kevin said, with multiple waves that, okay, if this doesn't work out, we got somebody right behind them capable of enough. And that's what happens when you draft well and you put together a roster with depth. You're able to go out there and you're able to put together good football teams year in and year out. And that's what Joe is aiming for the Jets. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. We love talking Jets football with you. Appreciate all the shares. We're going to be having a lot of footage at the stadium this season in the lot. Again, we got season tickets, so we're going to make sure for you guys that aren't able to come to the stadium to get a little piece of it with Jets Guru through video, through pictures, through doing shows outside of the stadium, inside of the stadium. I'm going to be doing little bits and pieces, showing you little things inside the stadium that you may not be able to see. Because, it's a family environment that we got going on here. Most of the people here have supported me from the very beginning. They realize what we're trying to do, which is give the best fan-driven content on Facebook that you can find. And I think we do a pretty good job at doing that. And we're fair and we share and we play well with others. We support a lot of Jet pages out there, and we're very appreciative of them allowing us to share our platform on their pages. And you guys know who you are. We say the names very often, and we appreciate the support. So again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon. Keep watching those New York Mets. They're kicking butt. I love seeing it. It's wonderful, but New York is going to be a fun time over the next year. Jets are going to fix themselves. Mets are going to get themselves in good position. If you're a Yankees fan, they're winning ball games. The Knicks, the youth movement, they're going to be a little bit better, I think, next year than they were last year. The Giants, I'm not so sure. I can't be confident for you, but good luck. And we'll see what happens from there. But New York is looking up, guys. Appreciate the support. Kevin, as always, please check out Live Rounds. JR, the producer, he's the one that puts it and makes us all pretty and dolls us up for the show. Thank you for the support, buddy. And everyone have a great week. Jets Guru out. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air.